Hello, everybody. This is the Section 214 BC Alliance podcast. I'm your host, Ascent, and normally I would be here with my other two co hosts, and I was supposed to be here with at least one, but that would be JS. But unfortunately, because of his Wi-Fi signal being terrible in his wife's parents' house, he can't be able to record with me today, unfortunately. And of course, I mentioned it in the off-season episode, the last one we did a week ago. That I'll probably say it here too. That Hammer is out in Europe to do field schooling for Douglas College, so he'll be out for longer, for about a month. But yeah, um, for now, for this game, for this episode, it's gonna be me. And it's not the first time I've soloed an episode before. I mean, I've done it in last season, in the middle of last season against Edmonton. Funny, I say that now. Yeah. So it's just gonna be me. It'll probably be a shorter episode to record because I, you know, most of this will still be about the game that just happened between BC and Edmonton yesterday. But yeah, I'll get into the game shortly. But I just want to mention a couple things before we get to talking about that. First of all, I just really, I just really want to extend my condolences along with the condolences of my co-host towards Milt Stiegel and his family for the loss of their son, Chase. It's never, it's really hard to be losing a son that suddenly, um, and I just hope that he takes all the time he needs to grieve and come back to the panel whenever he's ready. I mean, he's a very beloved panel member on TSN, uh, and the CFL community at large rallied around him and showed their support for him and his family, which I was really touched by, right? And I'm sure, I mean, he came out saying that he was really touched by the amount of condolences that he was receiving from CFL fans across the country, and probably even around the world too. So, yeah, I just wanted to, add our condolences to him into the pile. It just, yeah, we love you, Milt. We hope that your grieving process goes through, and yeah, kind of a terrible segue into what I want to talk about next, but uh, yeah, the other thing I want to talk about is the fact that I've kind of had this unofficial partnership with the Cerebral Palsy Association of British Columbia. I shouted them out in a couple of past off-season episodes, and they put us in a June newsletter again. So they put us in the June newsletter again. So it's nice for them to shout us out again there, and I'm shouting them out here again. I mean, they're a really good resource for folks who have a child with cerebral palsy, like how to care for their needs, and also folks who with cerebral palsy who need resources to get ahead in life and things like that. So it's a very important organization for us with cerebral palsy and for non-cerebral palsy afflicted people to go go into and learn all about our affliction. So yeah. So I guess all that preamble aside, I'm gonna get into the game, right? And for the newcomers here, what our episodes usually entail is that we do a gut check. You know, just like a 5 or 10 minute section of the video, just telling telling you guys how we feel about the win or the loss, and how it yeah, how we feel about the win and loss, and just how it shapes up in the grand scheme of things. And yeah, we do a gut check for that. That's what we called it, and it's basically just like a overall kind of a summary of how we feel about the game, and then the meat and potatoes of our videos is usually we go into statistics read. So I usually read along with Hammer and JS. We take turns and just talking about the statistics, the nitty gritty of the game, and then the longest part of the video is usually the recap, where I go through, the entire game quarter by quarter, and recap all of most of the plays. I mean, I'm not gonna bore you with just like reciting too much of what happened in the game, but I'm going to summarize as best I can, like what the big moments of the game, what happened, and also like the immediate reaction that I had during the playing, right? So yeah, that's more of like a gut check is like a brief overview, and the recap is like the details. It's kind of like a research paper, how a research paper is structured, right? So and then after we get done with the game recap, then we usually if there's other CFL games that happened before the Lions game, and in this case there was like an entire slew of them. Like this game was the last game in the week, so I can talk a little bit about the games that happened beforehand, because I did watch all of them too. So yeah, I'll talk a little bit about those, and then I'll just end the video there. So yeah, that's gonna be our blueprint for the whole season. Uh, yeah, I was kind of hoping that I would have JS here explain with me, but yeah, I think better if I. Oh no, it would be better if JS would be here to explain it with me, but I'm here to explain it, so it's no big deal. Anyways, yeah, I just want to get into the game here, and yeah. So for the gut check, so BC won, 31-14. It was a pretty tight game, through the first half and some of the third quarter. Like the defenses were locked in, and then once the offenses started rolling, like it was, it was just like the floodgates opened, right, and just. But thankfully, the floodgates opened in favor of a BC victory, and there were definitely quite a few moments in the game where I thought Edmonton would be able to turn the tide and take the lead and win then too. But yeah, thankfully that wasn't the case. And also, this was the exact opposite of. I wouldn't say exact opposite, but it's more like. Yeah, it's the opposite of last year's week one result where BC lost to Toronto on the road. They started out 0-1, and this time they're starting 1-0, which is great. I mean, they're keeping pace with the West, because every home team won in week one. So, yeah, BC was just keeping pace with Calgary and Saskatchewan pretty much, and that just leaves Winnipeg at winless. Well, 0-0. They have their bye week weirdly, right? So, yeah, but we'll get into that later. Yeah, just this was a really good win for BC. They played a lot better in the second half than they did in the first. But I feel like that was more of like a feeling out process for both teams. Like, it's kind of hard to gauge how good or how bad your team is from just like the first win or loss of a season. But I mean, this was an encouraging start for BC. Right? This was an encouraging win, and I hope it continues. um, yeah, I guess I'll just get right into the statistics here. So, yeah, so for the BC Lions, so our starting quarterback was Nathan Rook, and he's got a full training camp under his belt this time instead of being signed in the middle of the season last year, which I could tell was disrupting his play a little bit. But now with a full training camp under his belt and, most of the same cast of offense from last year, he did play very well in this game, right? And this was probably his best game, I want to say, since like Touchdown Pacific or even the Montreal win too, right? Last year. Nathan Rourke went 27 for 36 for 324 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, 9 yards on average per throw. And he also had chipped in with 54 rushing yards and 5 carries. He had like a lot of, and in the game recap, he had quite a few runs where he went for like 12. He evaded a bunch of tackles, right? And yeah. I mean, even in the first half when the team struggled on offense, it was just, he wasn't the problem. He was still efficient. And for running back statistics, Butler, he had 10 carries for 68 yards, a touchdown, 6.8 yards on average, and a 20-yard run was his longest. He also chipped in with 3 catches on 4 targets for 22 yards. Yeah, James Butler didn't have too flashy of a game. He wasn't like Saquon Barkley out there, but he chipped in on the offense and was decent as well. Did enough to did enough on the ground to make Edmonton think. Right. The receivers is where BC's offense really did its damage in the second half, and none more so than Barry Hill, who had 6 catches on 10 targets for 105 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he had 17.5 yards average per catch. His longest catch was 37. Like he hit a monster game today, right? And I was glad to see that because most of the games last year, Barry Hill was kind of invisible, but this one he did great in this one, right? And he was, I'd say, he was probably the MVP of the game for me, just in terms of yardage and touchdown acumen alone. So. So for the rest of the receivers, Couture had 7 catches on 9 targets for 88 yards. McInnes had 5 catches on 5 targets for 45 and a touchdown. Hatcher had 4 catches on 5 targets for 52 yards. Jermaine Jackson, who was actually a new kick returner, and I'm going to get into, like, if there's one glaring issue that I had hoped I wouldn't talk about, it would be the special teams. But Jermaine Jackson was also chipping in for the receiving front. He only had 2 catches for 12 yards though, but it's all right. I mean, Abrahart only got 1 target. He got no catches, so Hammer is going to be disappointed to hear that. He had like only 1 target. Uh, yeah, so. Yeah, it's just that's going to be it for the BC offense. And on defense, the defense did, pretty well for the most part, especially in that first half when it was like a deadlock, right, and nobody was scoring many points. And I thought the defense held really firm in order to help the offense start to click in the second half. Like it was a tale of two halves, but the defense did its job for the majority of the game, and I was happy to see that. And yeah, the defense got 2 sacks out of Toure and Hendricks, 1 interception from Ben Haladic, no fumbles, and a turnover on downs, but that was more like in the near end was garbage time. But Carter, he's the rookie. He had 7 tackles. Betts had 6 tackles, and Awe had 5 tackles. So then the rest of the team had like less than 5. So yeah, those were the standouts on defense for me. I mean, Carter in his first CFL game, he had 7 tackles to lead the team. That's pretty good. Uh, yeah, and then special teams. I mean, Sean White, he only had the 1 field goal and went 4 for 4 on extra points. So perfect as always, which is what I like to see. Um, so that part of the special teams is like not what I have issue with. Punting, I don't have issue with either. uh, Carl Meyer, who's our new punter, he made 3 punts, averaging 53.3 yards. And there was a new stat that I noticed on the CFL website that had inside the 10, so I thought I'd put put it in there as well. So he had the 1 punt inside the 10, so that's like a key part of the punting game too, obviously. And so yeah, nothing really to complain about the punting because yeah, it is what it is. But Jermaine Jackson, who's our new punt returner after Terry Williams was unceremoniously expelled from being a punt returner or kick returner. His first game with us is like not very encouraging because he had 7 return catches on special teams, 4 punt returns and 3 kickoff returns for a total of 87 yards. And for kickoffs, he only had 62 total yards and averaged 29, and punt returns a total of 25 yards, averaging 6.3 yards per punt return. So yeah, once again, well, I mean, I'm not expecting like a kickoff or a punt return touchdown every game, but just in general, just the way Jackson played on kick returns was not very good. I that's the one thing I have to criticize the team's approach on. It's like that's, man. I mean, the O line played great too, right? For the offense, right? I mean, I don't think they even allowed a sack, even. But, yeah, it's just the special teams was like the glaring issue of the team, and I'm willing to criticize the team even in a win like this, right? Because, uh, anyways, I'm gonna get into the Edmonton stats now, and this is normally where I would pass the shoe over to my co-host, but I'll do it again. So Trey Ford was also pretty good in this game too. Even if he was a little less efficient in work, but I thought it was just there's going to be certain plays that I'm going to go into the recap where I was stunned beyond belief, right, that he did that. I'll get into that, but yeah, Trey Ford went 18 for 27 on 178 yards. No touchdown passes and 1 interception, and he had 6.6 average yards per throw. And he chipped in with 54 rushing yards and 6 carries. So, yeah, both Nathan Rourke and Trey Ford had QB runs that were very influential to how the game ended, right? And, well, Rourke more so than Ford, but Ford had some highlight reel plays of his own, right? And it was, yeah. But it was interesting that he didn't, like, throw or run in for, well, he didn't throw for a touchdown, so the defense did their job against him in the end. But that's only because Cody Fajardo, the backup quarterback, he was the one that did all the scoring for, well, yeah, the vast majority of the scoring for Edmonton. He got the 2 touchdowns for short yardage. Running back stats for Edmonton, Justin Rankin had 7 carries for 24 yards, and he averaged 3.4. and also chipped in with 5 catches and 6 targets for 67 yards and averaged 13.4. So, and his longest was 37 yards as a catch. So Rankin was pretty good in this game. A little better than Butler, but uh, Javon Leake had 3 carries for 5 yards, so not much for him. There was really all Rankin that was doing the running. Receivers, um, I would say if it wasn't for Trey Ford, I'd say Arkel Smith was the MVP of this game offensively, and not just in the receiving game, but the return game as well. Arkel Smith had 2 catches on 2 targets for 55 yards. 50 was his longest, so we're going to get into the play that he caught that was the crazy one, but yeah, he had he had quite the impact in this game. Mathis had 4 catches on 8 targets for 34 yards. Dunbar had 2 catches on 4 targets for 16. Gittins had just a 1 catch for a yard. Victor 1 catch for 4. Julian Grant 2 catches for 8 yards. So yeah, BC's defense neutralized most of the Elks offense in the first and second half, right? So it really was a full 60-minute effort from the team defense. For Edmonton's defense, I mean, yeah, again, as I mentioned in the first half, they were just in lockstep with BC on shutting the other team's offense down. But they had a lot less to. The stats say they have a lot less to show for it, but it's. I was surprised when I saw that. They had 0 sacks, 0 interceptions, 0 fumbles, but of course they had 2 turnovers on downs. That was in the first half when the offense was struggling, and they even tried a couple of third down conversions. It didn't work, but yeah. They got the 2 turnovers on downs. Nick Anderson, who I thought was flying everywhere, and he was like a menace in the backfield. He had 9 tackles, and Mechie and Morgan had 5, and then the rest of the team had less than that. So Nick Anderson, played his heart out for the Elks, and yeah, really did well enough to keep the score pretty close for a lot of the game. The special teams. I mentioned that the kicking for BC was, perfect, and the punt returning, the kick returning was bad. Well, here's the opposite. For Edmonton, the field goal kicker, who's a new guy, his name's Blanchard. He went 0 for 2 on field goals, and 1 for 1 in extra points. So it was just this Freaky Friday kind of situation. We're just yeah, and it continues. I'll get into punting too. Grace had 5 punts, averaging 59.2 yards, and he also had 1 punt inside of 10. But Arkel Smith, man, he was. That's the kind of kick return game that I envy, right? That I want BC to have, and it's just complete opposite of BC's special teams approach, right? Where Arkel Smith had 3 kickoff returns for 124 yards, and he averaged 41.3 yards per carry, and his longest return was 64. So, yeah, I'd say if it wasn't for Trey Ford, I'd say Arkel Smith was the MVP for the Elks, even in a loss, right? Because yeah, it's just every time he got the ball, he just ran for half the field, and I was getting so frustrated seeing that, right? When can our special teams do that, right? Yeah, and then the other kick returner was Leak, the running back. He only had 5 return catches, so 3 punt returns and 2 kickoffs for a total of 52 yards. And his total yardage for kickoffs was 24, and total for punt returns was 28. So he was a little less effective, but Arkel Smith was the straw that stirred the drink for the special teams return. So, in terms of penalties and time of possession, this is the last of just statistics. Easier for me to say. Yeah, this is like the last of the statistics that I thought was worthy of mentioning. Penalties for Edmonton, they had 6 for 33, and BC only had 3 for 20. So I'm glad BC didn't have like too many penalties in this game, but it helps that when you're winning. I mean, if you have low penalties, that's pretty much how you win, right? That's obvious. Uh, yeah, not much on the penalties front, like not much laundry on the ground, but uh, yeah. Time of possession, Edmonton had 27 minutes and 48 seconds, and BC had 32 minutes and 12 seconds. So I imagine that time of possession was like way more closer in the first half, and then as the second half went along, BC. I mean, I remember in the third quarter, BC had a long drive as well, so that really affected the time of possession in that too. So yeah, I guess I'll just get right into the game recap now. So I'll start out by saying that I didn't mention this in the intro, but Snoop Dogg had his concert kickoff show before the game, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to see the show. I was only able to ascertain as much through social media clips and stuff from Discord and Twitter and Blue Sky and everything. Just clips of Snoop Dogg singing, and I thought he amped up the crowd decently well. I mean, it's not my kind of music that I listen to, but again, it was a pretty big get for another big get for a Maradona for a pre-game show, right? And yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, and another reason why I wasn't able to watch the Snoop Dogg pre-game concert was because the Hamilton Calgary game was taking forever to end, and it went past 7 o'clock at one point, and I wasn't able to see any of the show because of that. So unfortunately, I can't tell you from a full experience like if it was good or not. But from the clips I saw and from the word of mouth of everything, I think he must have done a pretty good job. uh, yeah, and I guess another tidbit that was brought up on TSM multiple times from the panel and the commentary was this is actually the first time in CFL history that Canadian-born quarterbacks faced off against each other in Week 1, and the first time Canadian quarterbacks faced off each other in general since 1968. So this was like a very just unintentionally just like a very historic game for Canadian talent at quarterback, right? And they both, Nathan and Trey, treated us to a pretty good show, and it starts out. Another thing is that there was like 55 or 50,000 plus in attendance for this game too, which is because of a Snoop Dogg concert, but yeah, so yeah, both quarterbacks gave us a show, but the game starts out with Leak returning the kickoff to the Edmonton 31, and I watched the past few games, and I think I'll mention it here too, that TSN did have new graphics to display, and I thought they were very clean. There wasn't like any betting things popping up on the screen like some other regional sports networks. I won't name them, but yeah, I just thought that these new TSN graphics look pretty clean. Yeah, Leak returned the opening kickoff to the Edmonton 31. I thought TSN had a little bit of an oopsie. Like, they showed the BC O-line first when they intended to talk about the Elks offensive line. So I thought that was a little funny thing that happened. Ford gets nearly intercepted by Peters on second down to force a 2-and-out punt. So great job to start the game for defense, 2-and-out punt. And then I said Jackson was making his debut as kick punt returner. He won it to the 35, and that was really kind of. I mean, I didn't expect him to like make a immediate impact like right out of the gate, but going to the 35, I was like, okay, that's fine. And then little did I know that his struggles would continue. But anyways, yeah, Jackson made his debut, won it to the BC 35. Rourke throws the hatcher for 16 for an immediate first down. And, on this drive, like, the offense was looking great, right? Like, it was multiple 10-plus yard conversions with passing. And this happened, like, all the way up to the 4-yard line. And then here I thought, okay, well, BC's obviously going to score here, but unfortunately, it gets down to third down, so it was third and goal at the 1-yard line. And then Bryce, the backup quarterback, tries to run it in. And I thought it was going to be a touchdown, but his knee touched the ground right before the ball broke the plane. Like, as he stretched out, like, it was a very, very close call. But the ruling on the field was I think it was overturned, and yeah, Edmonton did a goal line stand and prevented BC from scoring, and yeah, that was that was a downer in the moment, right? Because like the offense was looking great that drive, and it just stopped at the last possible inch. Uh, yeah, it sucks. So moving on, Trey Ford runs out wide and converts for a 15-yard run on second down, and but Edmonton fails to convert past that on an incompletion. They punted again, so that was huge for BC in that moment too. Like, okay, usually when there's like a goal line stand, like the other team tends to go down the field and score a field goal or touchdown them, but didn't happen here. But on the second punt, so Jackson flubbed of a punt. Like, the ball bounced off his hand, but thankfully there was a lion there to receive. Renee was there to cover for him, like cover for his screw up, and I'm like, oh my god, this is Terry Williams all over again, isn't it? The first one was like, okay, yeah, to the 35, but then he flubbed the punt, and thankfully BC got the ball back to keep it on the offense. But I'm like, oh, this is a terrible start, and it would get worse. But yeah, it could have been even worse here. But thankfully BC gets the ball back, and Rourke dodged the sack on this drive. Rourke dodged the sack here and throwed it to Aberhart, but he drops an incomplete on a heavy hit on a first down. And then Katoy catches an 8-yard pass on second down. And then here's another key moment in the game where I thought, okay, BC should punt here. But Buck Pierce decides to go for it on third down again, and they fail again because Bryce is not a very good short yardage guy all of a sudden. These first two tries, right? Yeah, Edmonton gets the ball back again on third down, and here I thought, maybe Edmonton will score here, but Ford has his first completion Ford threw a bunch of incomplete passes in his first drive, but yeah, he did make his first completion of the game at 4:40 in the first quarter for 7 yards, and then Ford ran to the 25-yard line. Even with a failed run, like, he ran a lot, right? But it was unfortunately was called back offside. Deep shot falls incomplete to Mathis to force another 2 and out. So once again, Edmonton fails to score on offense. And that was a theme I noticed through all of the games, was that teams were just failing to take advantage of the opportunities given off of turnovers. Right? It was the whole week. All I saw was just teams like not able to score after getting a turnover. It was bizarre. So yeah, 2 and out. Grace punts into the end zone for a Rouge. Katoy, oh yeah, for a Rouge was like 1-0, and of course I made a joke that I was like, oh, it's 1-0 Oilers on the Canucks, right? uh, yeah, so Edmonton goes up 1-0, and so it's late in the first period. Quarter. Stone hockey mode. uh, yeah, first quarter, Katoy converts on first down on 2nd and 10, and then James Butler had a nice, like, 18-yard run with a bunch of jump cuts and a lot of patience from him. And Edmonton on second down, at that point, sends a blitz, but Butler converts on a wide-out catch for 10 on second down. And then on the final play of the quarter, Butler ran it for 3 yards to set up 2nd and 7. So, yeah, the first quarter came to an end, and in the second quarter, Hatcher converts on a curl route for 9 yards to get into the red zone. But, I mean, Rourke almost had like a really good touchdown pass to Katoy, but he dropped it in the end zone on second down to force Sean White to kick an easy, like a relatively like easy 25-yard chip shot field goal to take the lead 3-1. So, that's like twice now that BC had opportunities to score big in the first half, but they failed either due to a third down turnover or to a missed opportunity for an incomplete pass. And yeah, so bit of struggling on offense to start. Trey Ford, then on Edmonton's next drive, he avoids a sack and fights like he ran back 20 yards. Actually, no. No, that was another play, but yeah, this one he avoids a sack, and he throws it to Arkell Smith for 50 yards to get in the field goal range immediately. And then Edmonton's called for time count violation on second down, and Ford throws incomplete, and I was hoping that there would be a field goal situation here, but unfortunately BC's called for offside. And then that helps Edmonton as Ford runs away from Alway's sack attempt and converts for 12 yards on a run. Then another BC offside penalty on third down on short yardage. And this time, on short yardage helped because it turned third and inches into like first and inches. So, yeah, Cody Fajardo converts like an easy short yardage touchdown to take the lead 7-3. Oh yeah, here's where Blanchard misses an extra point as well. So that was going to be the start of his struggles, right? So yeah, it keeps the score at a normal 7-3. And then Jackson had a good moment in this next kick return. He nearly broke a big kick return, but it's down at the BC 40. And then, but there was a 2-and-out as Rourke was incomplete because BC's O-line failed to defend the blitz. I mean, it wasn't like a completely perfect game by the O-line, but didn't give up any sacks or anything. So, so yeah, 2-and-out, and then Leak returns the punt to the Edmonton 27. Rankin fails to dodge like a great tackle from Williams Sr. to force a 2-and-out here. Lions get the ball back, and then prior to the 3-minute warning, actually no, here, yeah, it's prior to the 3-minute warning a little bit, but Rourke converts on a really tough run on 2nd and 9. Like he got tackled by Sweet Elks defenders, and he still managed to get the first down. That was the first of his many, highlight reel, second of his many highlight reel runs. But yeah, that was a pretty good one too. But as the 3-minute warning happens, like Rourke throws incomplete to Katoy. And then after the 3-minute warning, BC fails to convert on a pass to force another punt. Then Leak returns it to the 35, and Rankin converts on a first down run up the middle for 12. Dunbar converts on a curl route for 11. From forward, Rankin catches a short pass on second down, but is short of the line, and then Yeah, short by about a few yards, and then Blanchard comes out, misses the field goal. The first of his two missed field goals were the 49 one, so that's a pretty tough one to make, but he still missed it, and then rather than going, kneeling it for the Rouge, Jackson returns the ball to the BC 7, and then from there, just BC just runs out like the clock to end. I called it a boring first half for both teams. uh, yeah, I extended talking, about the first half, as much as I can, just to not only give like a detailed recap of what happened, but also to provide because Hammer wasn't able to isn't able to watch Lions games for the month ahead. I'm doing my best to recap a lot of what happened. So uh, yeah, so basically the first half was pretty boring with a defensive slugfest. But in the second half, here's where the floodgates open because BC gets the ball, on the kickoff. Williams returns the kickoff to the BC 37. I think it was, oh no. Yeah, I think it was someone else. I forgot who it was, but yeah, he returned it to the 37. McInnes barely converted on a 2nd and 6 catch. Yeah, barely converted. Like, the ball was touching the line, first down. Butler caught a short pass and runs to convert for 12, and then Couture converts on a short pass for 15 and get in the field goal range. Then here, like, Berryhill is wide open on a slant route to catch a 35-yard touchdown to take the lead with the extra point, 10-7. And I was stoked about that. Like, that was like what? That was like a jolt of offense, and that was like a like a juiced up offense, like right there, right? And I'm gonna put that in the title, a Snoop Dogg title that you'll see. You already seen, but yeah, that was huge. 10-7 lead. Smith returns the kick, so yeah, we're happy. The crowd is bumping when Smith returns the kick after the BC 32. That like took a lot of the air out of the sail right there. So, bad special teams coverage there just immediately after they take the lead, and but yeah, they almost go all the way to score, but Ford gets sacked on second down by two Lions as Blanchard then misses a 42-yard field goal. Yeah, Blanchard missed another field goal right to tie the game, but yeah, there's an illegal block penalty on the return to force BC to start the drive on the 3-yard line, and this was like a huge. Well, this was I'd say one of the two big moments that turned the Lions' favor, because here BC starts the drive on their own 3-yard line, and then Work converts on second down, run for 8 yards to start. The Lions barely convert on first down on a short Butler catch. And then here, Work avoids multiple Edmonton defenders to convert for a first down on a 13-yard run. That was a big one. Really huge. Edmonton's call for offside on first down, and then Work converts on a longer run to the Edmonton 40 for 22 yards. So Work made his mark on this drive. And, a lot of that drive was chewing up quite a significant amount of clock, which was also big. But it was also ended with Berryhill with his second of the game. He double dipped on a wide open 34-yard touchdown to extend the lead to 17-7. And yeah, usually when you score a touchdown after the end of a long drive like that demoralizes the other team, pretty badly, right? But credit to Edmonton. On their next drive, Smith returned the kickoff to the Edmonton 52-yard line this time. So I think that's the last of Smith's great special teams return acumen. Mathis converts on a left-facing wideout pass for 12. Ford runs for 9 yards to get the third down. And then this was a crazy highlight reel play by Ford here. The final play of the third quarter, Ford runs all the way backwards to avoid sacks by BC, 20 yards at one point backwards, and then he finds Rankin wide open to convert to the 2 yard line. Like Rankin did a lot at the end of the play too, just to get it to the 2 yard line. But Ford's Houdini-esque escapability was just insane on that. And it was that moment I thought, oh man, BC might just blow it. And then yeah, fourth quarter, like immediately, like after the fourth quarter begins, Fajardo converts on a short yardage touchdown to shorten the lead to 70-14. And then here, this was the second of the two, massive moments of the game that turned in the Lions' favor here, because 17-14, again, close game all throughout. Edmonton just scored a crazy touchdown on Ford's effort, and I'm thinking, boy, if they don't get this one, I think Edmonton's going to be scoring the next one. Thankfully, I mean, the special team still sucks, but Jackson returns the kickoff to the BC 23. Thankfully, Couture converts on a sit-down route on first down for 22, and then Barry Hill converts on second down on a great throw by Rourke for approximately 15. McInnes converts on a first down on a wideout for 12, and then immediately gets into field goal range. I'm like, okay, good. They got into field goal range, okay. That's the minimum, right? That's the minimum I want them to score. Because I know Edmonton could still score a touchdown, but getting into scoring range is big. And here's where it gets better. Because Hatcher converts for 18 to get into the red zone. And then, this is pretty much where the game was won here, because McInnes caught a hard throw from Rourke. He found an opening in the slot, and then Rourke found him in the middle, and right in the middle, and then boom, 24-14, and the extra point's good. So, yeah, I called it a key lead extending touchdown, and yes, it was very key, right? It really told Edmonton, nah, nah, come back, no way, not here. Yeah. And that was further exemplified because Smith returned the kickoff to the Edmonton 40. Mathis did get a first down, and then he got pulled by the injury spotter. I'm sure he's okay. I hope he's all right, but yeah, Edmonton converted on short yardage, and then, yeah, here's well, if that McInnes touchdown wasn't a dagger, this is. Because Haladic picks off Ford, and then nearly at a pick six, but he's tackled at the 4 yard line. And that was going to be my Cooper DeGene moment. I was like, oh my god, am I going to get a pick six here? Because, watching the Eagles win the Super Bowl, and then Cooper DeGene had that huge pick six on Mahomes, really iced the game. I thought, oh my god, it's happening here. But Haladic gets tackled at the 4, but thankfully, Butler finishes the touchdown drive over one to extend the lead to 31-14, and then, yeah, that was it. I mean, a few other things that happened here. Leak did run it all the way to the house for a kickoff return for a touchdown, but I knew early on it was going to be called back for an illegal block, and it was. And then Mark Killam, the new head coach for the Elks, he did do a challenge, but it was clearly a desperation challenge, and it was the ruling on the field stood. Which sends Edmonton back to start the drive at the 16. Then before it gets sacked in second down, and then here's another gaffe for Jackson. Jackson let the punt roll by him, and he goes backwards to the BC 40. So really, it was just the rest of the game was just taking down the clock. punts back and forth. 3-minute warning happened. Ford ran a long distance to get 9 yards to set up 3rd and 1. Then Rankin converts for 5 yards, and then there was an injury timeout for Toure. And then I'm throwing an interesting fact that Toure was actually played with the Carlton Chargers before coming here, so NFL experience was always nice. He seemed to be fine, and then Rankin converted on a catch for 12. Smith gets near the end of the game, Arkel Smith gets absolutely leveled by Williams. And Williams got flagged for unnecessary roughness. I mean, if it was a title game, that would have been a stupid-ass penalty. But, no, it was a stupid penalty, but it was for a mean-nothing result. But it was an unnecessary roughness penalty. Smith, I was surprised he was still able to walk that off. That was a super hard hit that he took off the helmet, too, right? And, man, I'm glad he's fought. I hope he's okay, right, too, but, yeah. And then Edmonton fails to score a garbage time touchdown because this was the turnover on downs that Edmonton did, and then victory formation for BC. And then, yeah, it's the antithesis of last year. This time BC wins the season opener to go to 1-0, and then they go on to Winnipeg on the road. Yeah. On the road with no Zach Caleros. Yeah. That's a big game too. But this was important. Just to A, keep Edmonton down, and B, pretty much keep in pace with the rest of the West that won, right? The rest of the West, Saskatchewan, Calgary winning. So, yeah, that was good to keep up with them, right? Yeah, one win a season does not make, but this was a very important game to win, nevertheless. I will say this: last year it was a trend with BC Lions games that they tended to be a second half team. But it just continues for this game. But I hope to see them actually come out to a big lead in the first half for the next game. Ideally, it would be against Winnipeg, yes. I do want BC to beat them down pretty badly, but, yeah. Yeah. That's it for the recap. I'll just talk a little bit about the past few games of the week. I'll say that the common theme with the past, week 1 games was really home teams were just, really good at holding leads and not really flinching at any time the road team shows an ounce of being alive, right? The closest game was Saskatchewan beating the the Saskatchewan Rough Riders beating the Ottawa Red Flags, but Saskatchewan had a big lead in the first half and then the second half, and then Ottawa almost fought back to win in that, but the theme in that game was that Ottawa just could not take advantage of Saskatchewan's turnovers in that game, and and I think I mentioned it earlier, but yeah, in this game, just no team was able to take advantage of turnovers whatsoever, right, and turn it into points at all, right? Especially in the Saskatchewan in this game, right? It was just Ottawa was just frustratingly down, right? And they credited them to fight back, but again, they really should have won this game if they had converted turnovers into points, right? So Saskatchewan gets a important week 1 win there, and then Montreal dominated Toronto. This game, Montreal Alouettes against the Toronto Argonauts, this was the most dominant win by a team in this week. Montreal just wall to wall, just did not let Toronto set a foothold or just, get any form of life in this game. They won 28-10. It felt like a blowout win the way the first half was going in that one. And yeah, Alexander in his first start of like this season, like he's the bona fide starter now because Cody Fajardo is in Edmonton. So yeah, so he had an impressive first game, but again, the defense for Montreal is looking pretty fearsome there too. And then yeah, it was that was a bit of a bore. The Saskatchewan Ottawa game was entertaining near the end, but yeah, and then Calgary and Hamilton. Calgary pretty much wall to wall dominated Hamilton too until like the end where Hamilton tried to make a game out of it too. But yeah, again, it's one of those things you worry about in the last quarter of a game, especially the last 3 minutes, where it took forever to end. I dreaded that because again I wasn't able to watch the Snoop Dogg con through it, but yeah, it was just this game took forever to end, and what was like a pretty predictable result, like Calgary, and this was Vernon Adams Jr. First start as a Stampeder, and in this game, I mean, I thought, well, Vernon Adams didn't really look all that impressive in this game. I mean, really, it was just Hamilton. Calgary was winning because of Hamilton constantly screwing up more than Vernon Adams Jr. was playing. He played okay. Like, obviously, he scored a bunch of touchdowns for throws, right, like he did, but it was pretty much of a good and the bad of Vernon Adams Jr. in this game all in one, right? But again, Calgary could just like sleepwalk through the second half, and they pretty much did, right, to a win. Yeah. So yeah, it's yeah, like all of these games, well, the exception of the Edmonton this game, like Edmonton had the lead, 7-6. No, 7-3. It was like a mild comeback by BC for this one, but yeah. Other than that, the other games, it was over by the first half. Right, it was like there was no reason for me to be keeping watching, but I did because I love this sport and I love our viewers. So I wanted to be as objective as possible with not just our games, but other games around the league too. So yeah. So I guess to end off with previewing Winnipeg week 2. This is on the road, and usually in recent history, BC has done pretty well regular season wise, beating Winnipeg on the road for the most part. Even without Zach Collaros, and even with like a lot of the Grey Cup pedigree that the Bombers had, pretty much gone. Like a lot of it was gone to Hamilton, too, right? So, even without Collaros and a decent amount of Winnipeg players not returning to the team, we're still a very fearsome team to play against. Like it feels like they can never lose in that stadium, right? Yeah. Even at like a 50% power Winnipeg, it's still going to be a very tough place to win in, right? And if BC can play like this against Edmonton and they can transfer it over to Winnipeg, and if they can just get their third and short game cleaned up, they can really put in like a decent like early stake in Winnipeg season, just a little bit. Like it's not huge, right? But it's like, it always feels like really great to beat Winnipeg in any circumstance, right? Because I here at the Section 214 podcast, we don't like Winnipeg, so yeah. Again, I'm it feels like a trap game because of how the operating percentage is for Winnipeg as a team going into this game, even with a bye week. But yeah, BC absolutely like needs to bring their A game to this and go up to 2-0. And thankfully, they're going to be like the first game of the of week 2. So it's a short week from Saturday to Thursday. So BC doesn't have a whole lot of rest, but yeah. we'll see if the battle-tested Lions are ready for like the Winnipeg team that's been off for months, right? Ever since that Grey Cup loss. Uh, Pretty much. I don't get. I really don't get why there's bye weeks in week one, but that's a question for the CFLP to answer. Yeah, that's gonna be it for me today. Yeah, I should have JS back for next week's game. After next week's Winnipeg game, but for now it's yeah. Now it's just me, and I hope you enjoyed enjoyed listening to me rambling on about stuff about the game and things, and yeah, you can you can reach us at through email. You can first like and comment and subscribe to our YouTube channel for once. That'd be a nice help. But we also read your emails. Our Gmail account is section214 at gmail.com. So that's SECTIONFOURTEEN at gmail.com. We have Twitter and Instagram accounts as well. That's in the description. And that's that's it for us today. So yeah, great win for BC, and I hope it continues Thursday. Thank you very much. Bye bye.